Sea of Stars is an indie RPG developed and published by Sabotage Studio that's set to release next month for Steam, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox consoles. It is also a game that I've kept my eye on for quite some time now. Being a die-hard fan of Chrono Trigger, it'd feel like heresy if I didn't, given the heavy influence Sea of Stars takes from it, and the fact they got the musical god sent from the heavens to bless us unworthies with divine melodies often referred to by his mortal name Yasunori Mitsuda on board for some of the music. Though when I say I've kept my eye on the game, do know I have very poor eyesight. Matter of fact, I didn't realize the demo came out until a few weeks after. I didn't actually play it until like a week after that. But hey, yeah, I did play it, and I do have thoughts about it, which is what I'm here to discuss in this belated review of the Sea of Stars demo.
Can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky are like shooting stars?
First things first, let's get the obvious out of the way. This game both looks and sounds gorgeous, the art style is charming and timeless, the characters and environments alike are beautiful, the world fills me with a childlike wonder I haven't felt since I first went on the run from the IRS for tax fraud, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. If you're watching this video, you have eyes, I hope, and can see for yourself how good the game looks. As for the music, all the tracks featured in the demo are very good. My personal favorites being the Bosch theme and, of course, Choral Cascades. The first guest track done by the Eldritch Beings from another plane who graciously allowed us mere worms to comprehend his otherworldly bangers that we've taken to calling Yasunori Mitsuda. Now, I'm no music major, I'm not even a music minor, to be honest with you, and the soundtrack obviously hasn't been published yet, so it's hard to go into details of what makes the music so good other than a trust me bro, but trust me bro, it's good stuff. However, this is also where my first complaint comes in. While looking and listening to the world shown off in the demo is a treat, reading what the people living there have to say is pretty dull. The dialogue is by no means bad, it functions, but it tends to be pretty dry, mechanical, and to the point. And I couldn't tell you a single defining characteristic of any of the party members so far other than Garl being the dumb one who cooks. This is especially disappointing since it feels like it contradicts how vibrant and full of personality the rest of the demo is. As for the act of actually playing the game itself, what was shown off in the demo is very promising. Something I find a lot of RPGs struggle with is making the act of traversing the world enjoyable. However, Sea of Stars does not appear to fall into the same pitfall, using simple climbing mechanics, alternate routes, and elevation to elevate navigation. My favorite example from the demo is when you're given the opportunity to roam some of the port town of Brisk, and you can talk to an NPC who mentions seeing someone swim under the docks. And while not explicitly telling you to, this dialogue does put the idea of something possibly being under the docks in your head, and sure enough, if you swim under the docks at the right spot, you're rewarded for your curiosity with a secret shop. You're similarly rewarded for your curiosity in the demo's dungeon, which has you use colored crystals to create portals leading to different parts of the dungeon. Once you have the red, green, and blue crystals, you're free to finish the dungeon using all three and accessing the boss room. However, if you decide to mix and match crystal combinations that weren't required to progress, you gain access to some bonus areas with their own goodies. Combined with the simple yet enjoyable puzzles and overall unique aesthetic, I have high hopes for the full game's dungeon and exploration. Before I finally move on to talking about, the battle system, there's a few minor issues I have in regards to a lack of clarity and quality of life. First of all, when you loot a chest, there's no icon or any other indicator to tell you what it is you just picked up. Armor? Weapon? Accessory? Ropes? Bombs? Better rummage around your convoy to find out. Next, when you want to buy an item from a shop, there is absolutely zero confirmation if you click on something. Once you press the button, you instantly buy the item. This may seem nice on paper, cutting down the fluff and speeding up shopping sessions, but one misclick and suddenly you're in crippling debt to the mole people. One last gripe is that you need to equip certain accessories to view the HP of enemies, and even with those accessories, you are unable to view boss HP, a very archaic mechanic that only serves to hide useful information to the player in a very superficial way. Now, with that being said, the battle system. Finally. I know it's very telling it took me this long of preamble to actually get to the thing you'll be spending most of the game doing, but anyways. Sea of Stars feels like a collage of various different RPGs with its mechanics, such as Octopath Traveler's weakness shield and even its burst system to an extent, the level up and button timing mechanics to enhance your attacks and defense from various Mario RPGs, and the obvious Chrono Trigger influence with the combo moves and with positioning and the like. While this may sound like a bad thing, I mean it as the opposite, a not bad thing, as the game manages to stand on its own 2 feet without living completely in the shadows of its inspirations. However, it is not without its flaws. For starters, I'm already typically adverse to button timing mechanics in RPGs, and while it's fine enough in Sea of Stars, I strongly disagree with how it's presented. As the mechanic is said to be just a small bonus to aim for those who want it, when, from my experience playing the demo, it can be the difference between life and death. A solution this is already in place in the form of relics. Items you can toggle on and off are gameplay modifiers. Kinda like skulls from Halo, for anyone familiar with those. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is a feature somewhat similar to the button timing, where when using a special, you are tasked with a basic button prompt. However, if you're like me and don't like the button prompts, you have the option to automate them, ensuring you get the most out of your special without the use of button challenges. And I think a relic that does this would be a great addition to Sea of Stars. One other complaint I have has to do with the combo moves. See, unlike in Chrono Trigger, your combo moves in Sea of Stars don't consume MP from either party member involved, instead requiring you to fill up a separate party meter of sorts, exclusively for combos, and this meter fills up way too slowly. If I wanted to use Bash Drop, an optional combo move between Garl and Valir that costs 2 charges of combo meter, I felt like all I could do was mindlessly attack the enemy until the gauge was finally full enough. And considering how quickly you burn through MP, which thankfully is pretty easy to get back in battle without the use of items, but still, and that it seems like party members can only have 4 skills at a time, I worry there will end up being a lot of unnecessary downtime in battles where all you're doing is waiting for your resources to recharge. But, aside from that, I believe the battle system can be very fun, and I look forward to being able to play around with more tools in the full release. And that about wraps up my thoughts on the Sea of Stars demo. Overall, very promising stuff showed off, and I'll definitely be picking up the final product on release day, assuming the mole people and IRS haven't teamed up to track me down by then, but I can probably work something out if that's the case anyways. And I know the demo's been out for a month at this point, so it would honestly be better to just wait for the full game to come out and then make a video on that, but hey, I had the footage, had half the script done, so I figured I may as well get a smaller video out in between my bigger projects. But that being said, thank you for watching, have a good rest of the day, and remember, if you love someone, tell them.